Hey, everybody, it's the Dynamite Show. Paul Fontaine, Jeff Hawkins. A couple minutes late. I want to thank everyone in the YouTube chat for waiting patiently for us. I was just about to get started and I got a message. I had to update my computer. So luckily, everything went well. And it's all my fault. John, he made a point of saying that I'm Bryan with some class. And then, oh my God, we are the Bryan and Vinny Show because we were late. I know they're always late for John. But anyways, Jeff, it's been a day. I woke up.
It's a weird day for me, and it's been kind of a weird week. This is off topic, but
Okay.
I live in Los Angeles, as you know.
Yeah.
I have dabbled in the creative arts here in Los Angeles. So when news of celebrity dies, it becomes one of those things where like death hits me hard, but you go to Facebook and you realize, oh, I have friends who know these people. You know, like there were two this week. There's a character actor, Peter Jason, who hung out at my improv club sometimes. Older character. If you Google him, you'll recognize him instantly. He was in Deadwood. He's in a lot of John Carpenter movies, etc. And then Michelle Trachtenberg. I had a couple friends who were child actors back in the day, and it's just like, and that really connects and hits home for you right there. It's just like, wow.
I only knew her from Mercy.
I knew her from Buffy.
Yeah, I didn't see. I looked at her. I recognized her, and I was trying like, what do I know her from? And then I googled it, and I realized, the only thing I watched of hers was Mercy, and I thought she was great in that. So yeah.
John says Gilmore Girls. I was never a Gilmore Girls guy.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither. My daughter was, so she probably knows her better than me.
Yeah, Granny asked a question, what wrestler did you want to be when you grew up? And I said Tully Blanchard because he could talk smack. He'd beat people up. He'd get beat up. He'd come back and talk smack, and he always had money. So
he didn't. I didn't see that question because I was on vacation this week. But if I had of, I would have said Owen Hart. And reason being is because he was a guy that was about my size that did more than what people his size should have been able to do in his day and age. And he was always my favorite wrestler. And yeah, a lot of wishes.
I think your favorite wrestler usually depends on how you connect to wrestling with others when you first start wrestling. And for me, it was always the Horseman. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, if I could be, Shawn Michaels would be the other one, which when you think about it, like those two are kind of polar opposites, but it's just what
I'm built more like Arn Anderson, so I should have probably said Arn, but Tully was always.
I think I'm probably money. I was compared actually, and this was back in I don't know the early to mid 90s. There was a local wrestling school here, and one of the guys thought I was built like Owen Hart. And and at the time I was working out more, and I used to do a lot of push-ups, so I have wide shoulders, and and I'm not tall. So he says like, you could be a wrestler. And he's like, you're kind of built like Owen Hart. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be a wrestler, but thanks for the compliment. Yeah, it was like they sucked my buddy in.
Trust me, your wrestling school experience probably better than mine. So let's
we've talked about that. But anyways, so yeah, I wanted to know what that story was. So thank you for sharing that and exciting stuff. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. As a reminder, if anybody wants us to do I might even change this and do like a running tally, and then when we hit $25, then we'll let the YouTube chat decide what show we're going to review. So maybe we'll do that, and it'll just be like a running thing. Every $25, we'll do another one, and then maybe that's a way to do it rather than asking somebody to spend $25 all at once. So we'll talk about that off air and decide. But I think that might be the way to go.
I'm fine with whatever.
And now that everything's going to be available, I think March 1st, right? Sounds like at least the pay. I think a lot of the Dynamites, but yeah, definitely all the pay-per-views and maybe even the Dynamites. So it'll be good. And I got access to all the Dynamites now. So
as long as you give me the money to buy booze so I can get through the
there you go.
I'm good.
Yeah. Okay, so you had wanted to talk about an interesting story that came out this week regarding that meeting that happened late last year between Tony Khan and one Shane O'Mac. I say late last year. It was actually in the summer, I think, because wasn't it All In when people are all Yeah, All In when people were expecting Shane to show up. So that was, we're talking August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cliff Notes, if you have not heard.
Yeah.
Shane, I mean, and there was actually a picture on the internet. They
Yeah.
met, I believe, a airport lounge or a hotel conference room or something. Now the rumor, now the secondhand information from this is that Shane came in, asked for a stake in the company and control of creative, and then Tony ghosted him. That's the story, right? That's what I have.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, based on what Shane allegedly wanted.
Yeah. Boy, I don't know if I buy that necessarily. I don't think on your first meeting you because that sounds like a meeting to track. I mean, that sounds like a report that for people who don't like McMahon's giving it to me. But I will say this. If Shane really wanted that, like I think ownership stake, if he bought in, would have been fine. If creative control was what he wanted, ask for what you want. You know, that's
Yeah.
I have no problem with that whatsoever. If that's what he really wanted, if he thought, oh, I'm going to take over this company and do it, and that's what he really wanted, he just didn't want to be part of the team. He wanted to lead the team. All right, ask for what you want, and then no, thank you. I think my bigger problem is TK ghosting him. I really do.
Yeah, it could be.
I think you call him and you say, you know what, your offer, we considered it. We're just going to pass it this time. Just be polite in blowing a guy off if you want to. I mean, it's one of those things where in business, ghosting is just rude and I hate it. And here's the other thing. And this is the part why I wanted to talk about this. I might have given him Collision.
Like
just
to
to
run,
see what
like
he could do.
like Punk? Like
yes.
What did it? Yeah, okay.
Collision was doing nothing in the ratings at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Give him his own. I mean, have a meeting. Say, hey, if you want to go over here and do something with this person and and have Shane lay out his vision of what he wants to do, and then take the roster and say, hey, we're not going to force any of you guys to go over there, but we need people over there to do it. If you feel like taking a chance, go on over there and see what he has, because Shane steals from a lot of good people. I'm not saying Shane has good ideas, but he steals from the best. It's like Robin Williams. Robin Williams steals great jokes and then uses them, and then they're his own.
You want to know the slight downside to what you're talking about? There is a more than decent chance that if that happened, and what could have hurt if you give Shane McMahon Collision, John asked.
Sports entertainment.
Well, I will say there's a more than decent chance that if Shane was running something, who's he going to be calling for advice on what to do?
Yeah.
Well, we could have.
No, maybe not. They're estranged.
Are they?
Yeah. I know.
I mean, I know that Vince fired him, but I don't know that affects their personal relationship.
He's never backed any of Shane's plays.
True. But he might look at this as as a way to get in and actually get back. Because I would imagine Vince is not all that happy with WWE and or TKO.
I just well, there you go. Shane was at the Super Bowl with Vince. I had forgotten about that.
I didn't realize it.
Okay, but silent partner is silent partner. I don't think Vince would have. I mean,
if he was willing to invest,
if Tony could have made money, he would have booked Vince McMahon on Collision, and then that would have just set the world on fire in many different ways.
If he was willing to invest in the company, I mean, certainly. Now, again, I don't know that Tony needs investors, though. Like,
he doesn't, and I think it's more of a control issue than a issue.
Did you see the picture that was put up?
Yes.
Look at that power dynamic. That does look like a guy that I'll come in, give me power.
Well, we don't know at what point of the meeting that was taken. That might have been beforehand.
Well, that would be the point of the meeting where Tony was acting like he was surprised there was a camera in the room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it's just one of those. I mean, look, I don't have any high hopes for Shane. Let's put it that way. I mean, look, he stole the blood sport concept. That was a good idea.
I would be in favor of Shane as like an on-screen character and even like an on-screen GM.
No.
You don't think so?
I don't like GMs, and I don't want him as an on-screen character because
Fair
then
enough.
he's gonna want to wrestle, and I don't want to see that ever.
I
again.
definitely don't want to see that, and that's the thing. And we all knew if he was signed and if he was coming in, I mean, he's having that match with Darby.
Yes,
like there's no question, and somebody's gonna die, and it might be Darby, and you don't really want
probably
that.
Shane though, probably climbing up something tall. He has a heart attack.
That'd be fine, but yeah, I'm not gonna attack on the way down or on the way up, maybe.
Yeah. It was just something I wanted to chat about. It's nothing serious or anything, but it's one of those things where if I'm Tony and I want to be considered a good businessman, I just at least give him the rejection. I mean, that was actually the part that bugged me the most.
Well, is it possible? And I think
it could be wrong.
It could be wrong, or it could be. I think it was. I don't know if it was Dave or Bryan or somebody that I was listening to said this. Might have even been Garrett. That maybe he was, like, not that he was ghosting him, but just he actually maybe didn't think Shane was serious, and that's why he didn't respond.
No, it doesn't matter. You had the meeting.
Yeah,
even if you don't think it's serious, you call him, you say thank you for your time or whatever. Even if you don't think it's serious.
But this wasn't a meeting.
I mean, we've had
AEW just a chance encounter. They happen to be in the same building at the same time.
Well, we've had communication issues between Tony and the rest of the company before.
We've heard this ghosting story in regards to talent.
One day you're used, and the next day you can't get them on the phone for 6 months.
We have some interesting facts about one day you're used that I'm going to bring up through this show. If you're following me on X during the show, I pointed them out, but I'll bring them up here as well. You brought up a point, and about how could it have hurt? Collision wasn't doing that great in the ratings. I want to point out I've noticed something with the AEW ratings. Number one, tonight might have been a little bit of a step back in terms of crowds, but I've noticed lately the crowds have been pretty hot, and they were hot tonight at times, and the attendance seems to be ticking up a little bit, which not a lot, but a little. And the ratings for Dynamite, they're not great, but we also don't know how many people are watching on Max. I don't think it's very many. I've said that before. I would be surprised if it's 10%. Dave seems to think it's at least 20%, but what he's not factoring in...
I think Dave's wrong.
Yeah, what he's not factoring in when he's trying to compare it to people simulcasting WWE on Peacock is that they have their special events monthly on Peacock. So people are used to going to Peacock for special events. And when it's something like Saturday Night's Main Event, the average person might not even register with them that it's even on NBC. They're just so used to seeing the big shows on Peacock that they're going to check there first. And the Peacock app is probably going to direct them there. So, that's that. Tonight it was their arena debut. They did 3,029 in Oceanside, which is outside San Diego.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're doing these smaller buildings. They're kind of almost filling up the buildings with hot crowds most of the time. It's been pretty good. What I've noticed with Collision, their ratings are up for the first 2 months of 2025. And I think that's because there's no more Rampage. I think that because you don't have that Friday show, you got those people that just want a little bit more AEW than Dynamite. More of them are watching Collision now because there's no Rampage. That's my theory. And this past week was the first time they've ever been up year over year for Collision. So, I mean, the show's only been around a year and a half, so we're talking like 6 months. But
I will give them this. They're doing a much better job of recapping what's on Collision on Dynamite.
Yes. I was kind of ticked off at the very beginning of the show. They said something like, we saw what... Oh, there's my cat. We saw what Cope did to Pac on Collision. No, I just got back from my trip and we couldn't find our cat. And I think we thought he was hiding in the laundry room. But anyways, they said we saw what Cope did to Pac on Collision, and then he just moves on and doesn't tell us and doesn't show us what happened. But then later on they did. So
yes.
Yeah, a little bit of 50-50. But they did pretty much all the important stuff from Collision. They showed us tonight.
Tell you one thing, Paul. People did not like my take from last week about MJF and Adam Page being having beta male energy.
Okay. Well, you were one of the only people that didn't like that opening segment.
Well, that's fine. I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill and let the people on Blue Sky do their thing.
I will say I listened to some recaps of Dynamite and I realized what a piss poor job I did last week of recapping it. So I did take notes this week.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
and I'll say this.
Yeah.
I think up to a point, I'll say a 7.5. They helped Adam Page a lot from last week.
Okay. There was one major issue I had with what they did tonight, but
I think it's probably the same issue I have, but we'll see.
We'll get to it. But yeah, so I am noticing, and then as far as WWE, it does seem a lot of their crowds are not that hot lately. And in terms of Mania, like this build is not lighting my world on fire. Like
I think you guys are trying to wish this into happening.
No. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're cold. I'm gonna enjoy Mania. I know I am. It's better than it was 3-4 years ago. It's just not as big as it was last year. That's all I'm saying.
They have a longer time to build, so I think they're going slower. And I think by the time we get there, we'll be fine. I really do. But it's one of these. But this narrative, I'm feeling cold about WWE. They're selling out buildings week after week. Let's stop this. Yes.
Okay. But the buildings that they're selling out, the crowds just don't.
Let's get past Elimination Chamber, and then they'll light the fire a little more.
I love the thing about Elimination. Oh, they've only sold 30,000 tickets. They're cold. It's like, have you seen the prices of those tickets? I've got a friend who wants to go and wants to bring his daughters, and he's dying to go, and he lives in Toronto. He listens to the show, so shout out to Seth.
Curry has a good point on this too, but continue your story.
Okay, no, his daughters watched the Royal Rumble, and his daughter was so inspired. She drew a picture of herself as a WWE superstar, and she really the thing is he won't tell them that Elimination Chamber is in Toronto because he knows they'll want to go, and he doesn't want to take out a second mortgage to buy 3 tickets.
No, should
you? Maybe the ticket prices are going to drop and he'll be able to go, but I believe he would have been looking at somewhere in the range of $3,000 to get tickets for him and his 2 daughters. And that's a lot of money for most people. So
same people who are trying to tell you that WWE is cold right now are the same people who are offended by them chanting Tony fumbled at Ricky Saints' debut at NXT. Now put up curry heads.
Last year's WrestleMania was a 2-year build-up. Yes,
there you
absolutely.
Go. If you're comparing things, yes, last year's was much hotter because it was a white hot program that had been building and building and building. This year, not so much. It's.
And you know what I think the program is this year, and I think we're gonna see it. I think it's gonna be Punk is gonna be Rock's champion. Yeah. I think Punk sold his soul to come back to WWE, and he's going to sell his soul again to join up with The Rock and turn on Cody. It just makes all the sense in the world. And
this is an AEW show, Paul. We need to get.
I know, but when Rock's not available to be there, who's going to be Rock's emissary?
I'm interested. I'll be watching Saturday.
I'll tell you, Paul Heyman.
Yeah, and I'll be watching next Sunday as well. I'll be watching AEW Revolution. I don't think I'll be there live, but I'll be watching it.
Yeah, I'll be watching it too.
Too much temptation. I just went on a diet. I can't go to an arena.
So yeah, enough WWE. But you know what? This show, we've been given free reign. We can talk about whatever we want. So
yes,
but this is called the Dynamite Show, and we are here to recap AEW Dynamite, which, as I said, took place in Oceanside, California, just outside San Diego. We started with no credits. And
home of Excalibur, by the way, and he was repping the San Diego mask as well, which was nice.
Okay, I didn't know that, and I didn't notice that. So thanks for pointing that out. So we got a cold open with an ambulance arriving, and it pulls up, and Cope is in the back of the ambulance, and he says, "Death Riders, this is your ride tonight." I want to get this out of the way first, and I'll try not to mention it again. I can't stand this program, and if this was anybody else that they were giving this to, I'd probably be like 10 times more into it. Like, I think what they've been doing has been great. I just don't like that it's Cope. Like, I wish it was Jay White or Hangman or like Swerve, like somebody that there's a future in. Like, why is it Cope that's getting all this stuff over on the Death Riders? That's what I don't get.
I somewhat agree. I just think Cope looks his age.
Yes.
He's my age. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he's moving slower.
Oh, no, I guess, yeah, he's your age. Yeah, you're right.
His face looks older.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like, man, if you know, like Jarrett at least like bleaches his hair. And
I think Cope tried that and it didn't really.
Jarrett looks younger than Cope, I think, at this point, unless you do a big full-on 4K close-up, and then
Billy Gunn
then he looks terrible.
Billy Gunn looks younger than Cope, I think.
From the neck down, maybe.
Fair enough. Dustin, especially in his makeup.
Dustin has the paint; it helps.
Yeah,
much like Sting.
Yeah. Ed should paint. Ed should throw paint on.
Cope should paint. Yes.
Cope. Sorry. And so then we cut to ringside, and the announcers are standing in front of the barricades with the fans, which I've never seen them before. This is where Excalibur said that we saw what Cope did to Pac on Saturday night. I wrote down I have no idea what he did because I never saw a Collision. So I was on holidays this week. So this is the first AEW I watched since last week's AEW. So, but I will say, as you pointed out, they did a great job of telling me what happened on Collision. Mm-hmm. I'm still going to watch the show. And I will actually say that because they showed me what happened, it looked really good. And I'm really interested in watching it. So not only did it catch me up, but it showed me how good it was. So please, more of that, AEW. I really enjoyed that.
I agree.
We cut to MJF, and at first I couldn't figure out what was going on. Like, I thought he was getting a massage, but it was a dude, and there's no way he's getting a massage from a dude. And then I realized he was getting a tattoo removed or changed, as I believe is what the point here was. He said, the fans don't know him. You chant cowboy shit at a phony, a pretender, a faker. But now I'm truly betting on myself. You people are so stupid. You got to watch the best to ever do it in real time, and you chose him. He said, so there's only 3 letters that matter to me. It's not AEW, it's MJF. And then the camera cuts and they show lasering on him and stuff. And so I guess the idea is he's changing his tattoo.
I think he's getting it removed, much like Pete Davidson got his removed.
Okay. So, and this sparked up, I don't know if you saw it, but it sparked up some controversy online of people thinking that maybe he's going to WWE.
Well, that would be a good sign that he was, and I kind of made that joke in my head a little bit.
Oh,
okay. To explain the tattoo, it was when he re-signed this last contract, he got an AEW tattoo on his calf, I believe. What was it, like the stack of, like, from Double or Nothing or whatever, the stack of poker chips with the AEW logo? There you go.
And he did a promo on Double or Nothing, which I think John was at and watched it live. So I'm not sure.
John may have been in inebriation at the pay.
He was probably about 10 bottles into the moonshine while the show was going on. But so he cut that promo and he was Team AEW for life. This was when he briefly turned babyface.
Yes.
And he forgot about it because it was stupid because of the dumb feud. 2 years in a row won the Wrestling Observer Award for Worst Feud of the Year, MJF and Adam Cole. I look back, that's never happened. So congratulations, MJF and Adam Cole. So then a pickup truck with longhorns on it pulls up, and it's Hangman. And
let's pause right here.
Okay.
I liked most everything about this presentation of Adam Page. The hybrid pickup truck with the stuck-on antlers with barbed wire. I get millennial stuff. And that he's environmentally conscious. Yeah, okay. Great. This teeters into the beta a little bit, but I'll allow it for now because the rest of this segment was good up until the reveal of who got beat up. But
how badly does JBL want in on this? Like, like he's everywhere, right? He's in AAA, he's in TNA.
He's doing the last outlaw gimmick pretty much that Jarrett did before he got signed. I think he's trying to go the same route.
Maybe he shows up.
No.
If he does, you heard it here first, and if you don't, well, it's just Paul
spouting I think JBL loves that WWE Legends contract.
Hey, I called who was going to answer Max Caster's open challenge last week.
You did? Congratulations.
Yeah. So he gets out. So they'd advertise Hangman Page in action. So he gets out of the truck, walks past the ambulance, just kind of looks at it, and the fans start chanting cowboy shit. And I pointed out there's a wrestler in the ring, and then they focused on him. I realized it was Aaron Solo. So he gets in the ring, takes off his jacket, booted Solo in the face, and starts beating the shit out of him. I thought the ref was just going to stop it, because Solo wasn't fighting back. Solo actually got a brief comeback, which was completely unnecessary.
What the hell was
this match went?
Was Cody in the house that Aaron Solo needed to come?
This match went probably 45 seconds, which was about 35 seconds too long. Because I mean, really, all that mattered was he hit him with a clothesline, and then he hit the buckshot and got the win. So that was that. I mean, it was literally. I don't understand why Solo needed to get his little bit of a comeback.
Although, you have to. This is where, as a wrestling fan, you have to strain a little credibility and a little realism, because he just shows up and then walks down the ring without, as Taz says, without his gear. And Tony apparently had no backup plan.
Well, Excalibur, when Aaron Solo was making his brief comeback, it was long enough that Excalibur had time to point out that perhaps Hangman should have warmed up before the match, or he wouldn't be in this trouble that he's in. And before he could even finish that sentence, Hangman had already nailed him with the clothesline. Yeah. It was pretty funny. But he grabs a chair and a mic, and he says, "There's 3 things I hate in this world: running out of biscuits."
True.
English ivy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
This is his plant thing about leaves that he's doing on Blue Sky.
And when a little bitch with a leaky spray tan spits in my face. Okay. Those are 3 pretty nasty things.
How many leaky spray tan bitches have spit in his face, though? That's
yeah. Well, hey. He says, "I'll sit right here until someone finds me Maxwell Jacob Friedman, until they drag him in this ring, and I'll give him the ass beating of a lifetime." So we've seen this before, where people trying to hold the show hostage, but immediately MJF's music hits. So, and he comes out and he's got a bloody towel, and we don't know why. And so he says, "Cut my music." He says, "You want to fight me right now in front of all these people? Dude, are you nuts? You're an animal. You're devoid of any emotion. You're heartless. I'm not fighting you right away. I don't even know if I have a prayer on." And he turns around and looks at the sign. He says, "Revolution, March 9th in Los Angeles." That's a nice plug. He says, "I'm going to go back to the most magical place on earth and train my tuchus off." And he starts to walk away, and he says, "Oh my God, silly me. I almost forgot why I came out here." He says, "I'm awfully worried about your friend, Hangman. You should probably check on him." And he says, "I guess now is the part we find out who's actually real." And he glares into the camera, throws the mic down, and walks off. Tony Schiavone says that he's talking in riddles. Not really. This isn't Moxley talking in riddles. It's pretty clear what happened here. It
was a real hard riddle to figure out when he had the bloody rag coming out. And although I was like, man, I hope they got somebody interesting for him to beat up and not Christopher Daniels.
Well, the next thing we see is Christopher Daniels. Beat up and bloodied backstage. No one around. Keep that in mind for later. And Hangman just stares at the camera. He's fuming. Didn't do anything. And eventually he just decides, okay, I'm going to take off to the back. So he walks, makes sure, okay, I got to point this out. When MJF came out, of course, he comes out through the heel tunnel. Presumably having just beat up Christopher Daniels, right?
Right.
Okay. Hangman, this sleuth, decides to walk back through the babyface tunnel, which he just came in from. When he was coming in for his match with Aaron Solo, did he happen to see MJF attacking Chris Daniels on his way in? No. I imagine he didn't. So he goes out the exact same way he came in, to the point where he walks past the ambulance again. that's still parked there. So then he turns around and
then he runs all the way around the arena
to where the freaking heel tunnel probably was. So he gets there. Poor Chris Daniels is sitting by himself, bleeding to death. No one's around. So Hangman, come over here, give him a hand, help him. So these two people, a lady and a man, come in, and this lady grabs a towel and puts it on his head to try to stop the bleeding. No, I don't know where Doc Samson is. I don't know where the medics are. I don't know where these security guards are.
I was waiting for, man, this reminds me of 3 weeks ago when I did the same thing to you.
yeah. So it was that part.
There's no emotional resonance in beating up an office stooge. I'm sorry, there's not.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I mean, they did do a pretty good job last week of telling the story that he's more than that, but I agree.
Yeah, mostly. I mean, I was hoping for like a surprise or something. It's like, oh, and Hangman 3 years ago teamed with this guy, and he's still friendly with, or like maybe Alan Angels from the Dark Order. You bring him in for like a, I mean, the Dark Order would have been better, probably.
Evil Uno?
Yes. Well, not Evil Uno. Maybe, not Stu, because you can't bring him in anymore. Who else?
Oh, it would be great.
Anna Jay.
Oh, shit. He didn't really attack Chris Daniels, right?
Who?
MJF.
Yes, he did.
Like in real life.
Oh, no.
Brody Jr.
Kid, you're getting your first color today.
Yeah. That would be heat. That would be heat.
Is he 18 yet?
No.
Okay, then we can't do that. No,
maybe.
That's bad. Children in peril, never fun. Except for Steven Spielberg movies for some reason.
Although the problem is we haven't seen Brody in like a year, maybe. So a lot of people probably wouldn't even recognize him.
He wrestled a match.
Did he?
I think in the past year, yeah.
Not in AEW.
No, not in AEW. He made his debut on an indie, I think.
Wow. Prodigy. I think he's pretty big already. He's like 5'10". So Tony Schiavone said, "Oh, did you said, was there anything else you wanted to add? Because you said there was something you really didn't like. Was it the same thing?"
It was the Chris Daniels reveal.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
I was hoping for somebody else. Oh, how about like John Silver? Beat him up.
Yeah, I mean, but again, the problem is we haven't seen John Silver.
That's true.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's got to be. It could have been Jeff Jarrett. Like,
No, but then again, it's like, okay, he's a loner. And he's pushing people away from him because he's moody and millennial.
Yeah.
Who does he care about?
I think the underlying issue that you're having, I don't want to put words in your mouth, is you don't feel that they did a good enough job of establishing this deep relationship that Daniels and Hangman allegedly have. And the people that have enjoyed it, Maria
don't care. They just want to watch.
No, not don't care. I got to correct you on that.
Okay.
She buys into it. Like she believes, like Maria here, Fernando, Hangman MJF story got taken to the next level. They're into the story. They believe that Hangman has this deep personal relationship with Daniels, and this would have meant a lot to the Hangman character. So the people, it's not that they don't care, it's that they do care, and they're buying into the story. You're not. You don't think they did a good enough job telling that story. And that's that I think those are both fair points.
So he put his mentor out of wrestling. And he doesn't feel bad about it.
Think back to Mick Foley and Terry Funk. They were at each other's throats.
Mick always felt bad though about it though.
Yeah, Owens and Zayn. They're like best friends, and Owens just put him out. So it happens. And then like if somebody went after Zayn, Owens might flip the other way and now want to get revenge on that person.
That's a 5-star effort you just put in there to convince me on this one. But
okay.
I
guess I'm doing a better job than Tony did.
This was night and day better than last week. So I'll
okay, good. Well, that's good. Yeah, and I do think it was a positive, and this Revolution card looks great. Like I'm sorry, like they always load up these Revolution cards, and this year is no exception. So they cut to a skybox, and the Callis family's up there. Kyle Fletcher's there, getting some good heat.
I think it's just Kyle, and I thought Mark was in the background.
No, Mark Callis was there with him. It was just Callis and him.
It was just Callis
Mark
and
might have
him
been.
then. Okay.
I will say I had a slight issue with the way this was presented, and I would have done it slightly differently because
Okay.
they go directly from this segment, showing him in the crowd, like, you know, in the skybox. They go directly to something that they had to make sure to point out was taped earlier.
The Jericho thing? Okay.
Yeah, so they're in a video package of Jericho and Bandito on Collision. Match looked great. Jericho won with a roll-up. Everyone loved the match. And then they show Renee outside Jericho's locker room. And she says, huge congratulations on successfully defending your belt in an instant classic. And he says, it was one of the greatest main events in Collision history. But you want to apologize to me for how you treated me last week, didn't you? He says, well, how did this, you're wondering how this match tonight between Bryan Keith and Will Ospreay came together? And then Callis comes out of his locker room. And then it was there that I actually rewound it to see, like, wait a minute, I just saw him in the skybox, but they had said that it was earlier today. So he comes out of the locker room, he cuts a promo, and he says, we tried to handle this in-house, but that person dropped the ball, which is Mark Davis, and he doesn't even look at him. And he says, Will Ospreay is a degenerate piece of garbage. I need someone used to dealing with degenerate pieces of garbage. And you are associated with the bounty hunter, who is a degenerate piece of garbage. And then Jericho says, well, I chose to help Bryan Keith because bigger isn't always better, but Bryan Keith is better. He has what it takes to beat Will Ospreay. Trust me, Bryan Keith is your man. Renee thanks him for his time, and he goes back into the locker room. So I would have done this differently. I would have done this promo first, and then you could have had the camera follow Callis and Kyle Fletcher to the skybox.
Okay.
And then done the same thing there.
No, that's a good idea.
Yeah. That, you know, that just a minor little thing. Not a huge deal. And then that led into the match. Anything else you wanted to say about this promo?
No, I enjoyed the brawl in the stairwell. That was nice.
That's after the match.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'll point out something there too. But yeah, so I thought it was good. Jericho.
No, this was perfectly fine, and it was one of those things where it's like you kind of connect Jericho's somewhat connection with the Callis family, if you recall that back in the day.
I have a feeling we're phasing out of the learning tree.
Well, it's time for Jericho to possibly go on tour and then come back rebranded in a way. I don't know. Yeah, I hope so, because I think Big Bill deserves something better.
The thing is, they're back to calling Bryan Keith the bounty hunter, and at one point during
on the still it's they call him the bounty hunter, but it says Bad Apple Bryan Keith.
Correct, which I believe was a mistake, because during the match, Excalibur called him the Bad Apple briefly, and then immediately corrected himself. And he said, "Oh, I mean the bounty hunter." So I believe that Tony was probably in his ear saying, no, he's a bounty hunter again. Like,
I need a fat wad of cash given to Chris Jericho by Don Callis. That's all I wanted.
Yeah. Well, Bryan Keith is, as much as we love him, and we do, he's not a very good bounty hunter, because this was yet another bounty he failed to collect, as I wouldn't have expected. But yeah, so it was Will Ospreay and Bryan Keith. And again, like, I saw this match and I had no idea, honestly, like, I had no idea why this match was happening, and they did a good job of explaining it. So, okay, good for these guys. At the beginning of the match, I want to say that Ospreay was doing a little too much playing to the crowd. Like, it wasn't about the match. He was just there to, like, hey, look at me. And so, whatever. I don't know. Okay, so did you get this in the US, or if it was just a TSN thing? At one point, Excalibur pitched to commercial, and there was no commercial. They just kept wrestling, and they wrestled, and this was the whole time Bryan Keith was getting the heat.
No, that's a picture-in-picture for us.
Okay, we didn't get picture-in-picture. We got the whole match, which is weird, and with commentary and everything. And then at some point, Excalibur welcomed us back. And then immediately after welcoming us back, that's when Will Ospreay went back on offense. So I got to see like 4 minutes of Bryan Keith like working over Will Ospreay, and it was actually like pretty good. And Will was selling and that, but then when they came back, they just kind of, they did a bunch of cool stuff. crowd really got into Ospreay during the comeback. He had a leaping enziguri. Then Bryan Keith took him down with a clothesline. Ospreay hit a Stung Dog Millionaire, and Nos Cutter only got 2. And then he paused to look at Kyle Fletcher, and then he went for a hidden blade, but Bryan Keith hit a knee strike. Went for an Emerald Tiger Driver, and he only got 2. And it was really weird because there was like no reaction to the move or the kick out. And then all of a sudden the fans just started chanting, "This is awesome." But it was like, there's literally like 10 seconds in between him hitting the move and them actually chanting that. So it was just kind of weird. But then he went for the same move again. Ospreay reversed it, and then he tried it again. Ospreay transitioned to a Styles Clash, hit the hidden blade, and got the win. So it's a good match. It was, like, again, if you got to see the whole match, it was like actually a really competitive match. But if you only saw the stuff without the picture-in-picture, it was basically almost like a glorified squash for Ospreay.
I don't know. I thought Bryan Keith had some chances to look pretty strong here, especially coming out with the chops and stuff. It might be my favorite Bryan Keith match in AEW.
Well, as you know, I rate all my matches, and this was I gave this 4 stars, and this was the 4th Bryan Keith match this year that I've given 4 stars to. So he's good.
I wish he'd win more.
Yes,
and then collect a few bounties, maybe some minor bounties.
Yes,
there,
I think this is why they need people hate the idea of a cruiserweight title, but some sort of a title for these guys that never win. Or you know what I mean? Like,
we have 6 mid-card championships right now.
I know, but the problem is they're all the same.
True.
Like who's better? Takeshita, Moxley, Daniel Garcia.
Daniel Garcia. There we go. Let's make the TNT title a cruiserweight
There you go.
title.
Yeah, Bryan Keith could beat Daniel Garcia. Probably has. I'd have to look back.
Boy, it's interesting because it's a theme that I was going to go into, but you had guys on this show like Orange and Daniel Garcia and the Outrunners and FTR.
Yeah.
And 3 of the 4 of those acts were hot at one time, even on Collision, and how they just feel cold.
Well, especially when they're on Dynamite.
Yes.
And the thing is, and I think part of the problem is they've been featured on Collision. So if you only watch Dynamite, and we do know that a good portion of AEW Dynamite, there you go. So you'll be surprised to find out as we get into some of these matches. And I didn't look up Bryan Keith, but I should look it up, actually. Like, maybe if you get on a rant or something at some point, I'll look back. But I didn't look up when the last time Bryan Keith wrestled on Dynamite was, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was not recently. So for fans, they're just looking at him as like the side guy in the Jericho skits, that says a funny line. He's basically, you know what he is? He's Tozawa.
Or Ron Simmons saying "damn."
Yeah, but Ron Simmons had credibility.
Okay.
Bryan Keith doesn't, unfortunately, even though he's a good wrestler, like Mortos, great wrestler. But if he shows up on Dynamite, he's going to feel cold too, because we never see him. Right. On Collision, the sickos, they love their Beast Mortos. So, True. Hologram, he'd be dead in the water if he showed up on Dynamite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, he'd get over in a couple weeks if he got some wins. But, we got to give Cope 8 segments and 40 minutes of TV time. So, all right. Ospreay, so after the match, he challenged Fletcher to come down from the skybox. Fletcher's not buying it, so he decides to race up the stands. Now Fletcher comes out of the box. They start to brawl, and they're instantly separated by like a million security guards. And I had to ask the question, where were these guys when Chris Daniels was being attacked?
They were up in the skybox, probably. Keeping guard of Don Callis.
Oh, okay. Oh, you know what? Maybe that would have been a good thing to point out.
How you like that for being smart alecky? There we go.
But you know what? That is actually Will Washington, if you're listening, this is what you need to tell Tony to tell the announcers.
Chris Daniels was attacked because all the security was needed because people think that Don Callis is such a scumbag.
There you go. There you go. You're
That's
filling
why you
holes.
Need me continuity cop Jeff Hawkins here.
Hire Jeff. Hashtag hire Hawkins.
I have not ever campaigned for a job with them, but you
can't afford the pay cut.
No, I can't.
No. They showed highlights of Mariah May losing her title at Grand Slam Collision a couple weeks ago. And then this past week, she attacked Toni on Collision. So last week when we saw that Toni Storm promo, we thought they were writing off Mariah May. As we were speaking, she was attacking Toni Storm in a segment that was going to air on Collision. So we look like idiots. I look like an idiot because I don't think you said it. You may have agreed with me, but anyways, it looked like a pretty cool angle.
We don't know what's going on during tapings while we're doing our show. That's unfair to call yourself an idiot. Don't give people ammo.
A lot of people thought that same thing, that, she was, they're moving on and they're going to come back to it obviously at some point, but some point was immediately. So they showed this attack she did on Collision. Looked pretty violent, looked pretty cool. She ended it up by posing like she was timeless Toni Storm over Tony's lifeless body. Taz said she is indeed the woman from hell. Excalibur tells us that she's been kept home and kept away from travel, but we will be updated on Collision as far as her health status.
I don't know if anybody watched the Triller version of this show, but get at me in the comments on what Taz was doing or saying that where everybody's saying you are in such a bad mood tonight. I want to know this because they've made mention of it like twice on the show that Taz was in a mood. I assume it's because of the pain from flying with the new knee, but I don't know that for a fact. I just want to know if anybody knows.
Well, I think at one point Taz said he was in a bad mood.
Yes.
And then Callis said, well, that's been 30 years now.
True. But I mean, even Tony goes, yeah, but even for him, he's in a bad mood tonight. So,
and no JR tonight. We had him last week on 2 shows and not tonight. So it's weird that he was there last week. I don't know why, but, so they go to break and they come back, and I skipped through the commercials, so I skipped through, and then 30 seconds. All of a sudden, I'm looking at a clip from Stardom, and I don't know who it is, and so I rewound, and I watched from the end of a commercial into when, and they basically like came back. It was like the video package had already been airing. It was like a couple seconds in, so I didn't know that nobody was really voicing it over. They're showing these clips from Stardom. I don't know who I'm watching. They didn't tell me. And, some cool wrestling, I guess. It said courtesy of Stardom. I have no idea what's going on. There's people talking in a thick Japanese accent. I don't really know. And then all of a sudden, at some point, I heard Momo. So this must be Momo Watanabe, who's going to be wrestling Mercedes. Eventually, by the end of it, she was talking and they were subtitling it. And she said she lost to Monet last summer and she's disappointed, so she wants her now. And the thing is, what they didn't tell us, which I think they think we all know, which I'll bet you maybe 5% of the audience actually does know, is that Momo Watanabe won that 16-person tournament that culminated at the Tokyo Dome on January 5th. She won the right to challenge for any women's title in any of the 4 promotions.
Yes.
And she chose to challenge Mercedes for, I think it's
TBS.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is weird because
they revealed tonight.
Oh, okay. So we didn't even know that. And I
knew
she was
no. That was the whole point of the Mercedes segment where she had 4 belts. She dropped one. Momo was there, picked up the TBS title, and goes, "This is the one I want."
They didn't do a good job of explaining this.
The thing is, they named the tournament by name.
Yeah.
But they don't, and it's Excalibur, so he's talking 300 miles a minute. Oh, it was revealed last week? Okay, fine.
It's possible. Now, did you also know, you notice how she, and we'll talk about this segment in a minute, but you know how she came in swinging a bat?
Yes.
So apparently that's her gimmick. And that's also how she won that match.
Batman?
No, she nails people with bats and wins matches after she drops them. And that's how she won. That's how she won the tournament. The ref was distracted or something. Or it was a 4-way, so there's no DQ.
Okay, I've been told it was revealed on Collision. As someone who doesn't watch Collision, that's why I didn't know.
Her stablemate,
her grandson.
No, I don't think it was. Oh, maybe it was. Her stablemate was involved in the finish, and I think she used her bat to knock out somebody, and then Momo beat her to get the win.
Okay,
that's how that match ended. So
right,
she clocked Athena with the bat. Okay, like I watched the match, but I don't remember it, and they didn't tell me. So, But we're all supposed to know her swinging the bat because we're all up on these stardom angles. So Mercedes walks out of her dressing room. Oceanside, say hello to your CEO. Now, Momo, I'm here to make things real quick. I got deals to seal. Did you show up tonight? And you made a real mistake. And then she is interrupted by, now I know who it was.
Now let's pause here.
Okay.
Because I am expecting, for you kids who are part of this Figure 4 multiverse type of thing, you will know that Bryan Alvarez, when he watches NXT, is screaming at the television, can we please get a chyron of who these people are on the screen at any given time? I could have used one for this. I eventually figured it out about halfway through that this
when she
was
said her name.
Oh, I'm Ring of Honors.
Yes. But before that, you had no idea who she was. For real? You really didn't know?
No. I knew, but I mean,
okay.
I'm watching, and even before she said the name, it's like it took me a few moments to go, okay, that's Billy Starks.
I'm almost positive that she has never been on Dynamite. I believe
she has been on Dynamite.
Has she?
I believe so.
Oh, you know what? She wrestled a squash match against Jade.
Yes.
Yes, you're right. That was 3 years ago? Maybe. She was on a Collision last year as a lumberjill.
Yes.
In a lumberjack match. And that was it. So, yeah, if you don't watch Ring of Honor, you don't know who Billy Starks is, unfortunately. Or if you're well in tune, like you obviously you don't watch Ring of Honor, but
I follow it through social media, and I like the Minions angle quite a bit. Okay. So I know exactly who she is.
Now, but
Wrestle Dream 2023 0 Hour in that mixed 8-person tag match.
Oh, okay. Wrestle Dream was what?
2023. This was Athena, Billy Starks, Keith Lee, and Satoshi Kojima.
What the hell is Wrestle Dream? Is that shown in Seattle?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
versus Diamante, Mercedes Martinez, and Shane Taylor Promotions.
So a year and a half ago, she wrestled on a pay-per-view pre-show.
Correct.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, how about that?
Yeah. So that almost proves our point.
It does.
Yeah.
But you got to continue with it. Okay.
So she interrupts Mercedes, and then Mercedes also doesn't watch Ring of Honor, so she has no idea who this child is. I'm going to say child because I think she's 19. She looks 16. And she says, hey, did you see Momo? When you see her, go fetch her for me. And Billy, at this point unnamed, looks at her and says, who do you think you are? And I'm like,
she's 20. Thank you very much. But I get your point.
Whatever. She says, I'm the CEO, greatest TBS champion of all time. Unnamed person says, you narcissistic bitch. Come on, you know who I am. I am Ring of Honor superstar Billy Starks.
No. I don't know who you are.
Ring of Honor,
Wait, were you on the Wrestle Dream pre-show in 2023? Yeah. Is that who you are?
Were you in that tournament that Momo won? Actually, I think she was.
She was, I think, yeah.
If I were you, I'd watch your back. And of course, she's like,
see,
what
that's
do you mean?
That's why they think we should assume that we know her, because she was in the tournament and Momo won the tournament. So this is all callback to the tournament. I do like Ultimo Monet, though. Yeah. Give her more belts. Give her more titles. Give her all the titles. Give her the AEW World Championship.
Hey, I think I'd like that more than Mox. So Momo shows up from behind, as even if Stevie Wonder saw her coming, based on what Billy said. And she swung the bat at Mercedes. Mercedes dropped the belt, ran away. Momo picks up the belt and says, I want the belt, and at Revolution, I'm taking it. That's a cute little angle.
Have you heard the theory that Stevie Wonder can actually see?
Really?
It's on. I'll send you a YouTube link. Let's move on.
There's something going on. Oh, the cats are fighting. Okay. So yeah. Oh, this is a meme match. Billy Starks had a fan pick with Sasha Banks from like 2015. Yeah, they're probably gonna have a match at some point. Fernando pointed out, and I like this actually. He might be onto something here. We sneak peek for Mercedes versus Athena.
I'm cool with that. I'm here for it.
People want that match for All In. Yeah. So there you go.
I want that match for All In.
Yeah.
It's been long enough. Bring her up to the big leagues.
So they aired the Outrunners entrance, and during this, they showed highlights of an ESPN SportsCenter segment with the Outrunners helping out the Omaha men's basketball team. It was a wild segment. It was the Outrunners being the Outrunners. I will point out they looked extremely tiny among the basketball players, like not just short, but like just, like in AEW, they actually looked pretty big and muscular and everything. And in this segment, they looked tiny. But they basically gave the SOB elbow onto a trash can and fired up.
Average guy on that team is probably 6'5", 200
exactly
pounds. So
yeah.
No, I liked this. They never mentioned the Outrunners name on the ESPN show, or that they work for AEW.
Correct. That was the first thing I pointed out. You sent me the clip, and I listened to.
It's like they hired a couple of birthday clowns to come in and do it.
But yet AEW, as they should, made a point of showing it.
No, this was great. Yeah.
So as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, so we're doing this match. The whole angle is, and this is from what I know because I didn't watch Collision. The whole angle is MVP is wanting the Gates of or what are their names? Murder Machines to wrestle real competition in order to earn their title shot that they asked for last week. And so it's like, okay, well, you're doing this segment to put over the Outrunners, and then they're going to be in here to job to Murder Machine, is what I figured. This is what's going to happen. So it's like, what's the point of showcasing these guys and then beating them? So we get the match. Now, as I'm writing down my notes, it occurred to me that I don't remember writing down Turbo, Truth, or Outrunners at any point and taking notes for this show, even though we are big fans of these guys.
Correct.
So it's like, I was curious. So I checked on the old cage match. See, when is the last time the Outrunners wrestled on Dynamite?
Was it on the pre-show of Zero?
No, on Dynamite. On Dynamite. They're on Collision every week almost, and Rampage and everything. So the last time they were on Dynamite was a tag team battle royal in September of last year. They were in the battle royal. They did not win the battle royal. The last time before that they were on Dynamite was November 2023 when they were an enhancement team losing to Sting and Darby Allin.
Right.
Yeah. So, and now they're in a match to become the number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team titles.
Dreams do come true.
I guess, but I just thought it was weird. So yeah, they did do a good job of explaining this angle. MJF had accused them of padding their records and beating trash cans, as they pointed out, which I think that might actually been a slip of the tongue because they just showed the angle with the trash can. Oh, he actually used trash can? No, yeah, because it's tomato cans is usually the term that they use.
You're correct. Yes.
Yeah. So now they got to beat the Outrunners to get a title shot. But then apparently the Outrunners did a promo and said, like, hey, we're here and we've been winning matches. So, why can't we get a title shot? So basically MVP told them, yeah, well, you win, you get a title shot. So put these two teams against each other. The winners get a title shot. Hey, I got no problems with that. I don't need rankings. Just give me a match and say winner gets a title shot. I'm fine with that. So they go to a break like a minute into this match. They come back and the Murder Machines are just dominating. And they're beating them, and they're beating them, and they're beating them, and they're inside the ring, they're outside the ring. We didn't even get to see the patented Turbo Floyd comeback that I love. We didn't get to see the SOB elbow. We just saw beaten and beaten and beaten and beaten. Cage was beating up Truth outside the ring. Turbo's getting murdered by Lance Archer in the ring. So he picks him up and he goes for his blackout. He's about to hit the blackout, and the Hurt Syndicate's music plays. And
these highly focused athletes.
Yeah, Lance is distracted.
Yes.
And he gets rolled up by Turbo for the win.
Straight out of Stamford.
Oh my God, this was so bad.
I didn't think much of the match either.
No, the match was terrible.
And it's sad because it's like even like the comeback, it felt like
there was no comeback.
He got the hot tag. It felt like he got lost in the.
Did they even have a hot tag? Yes. They did, I missed it. Okay.
They had a hot tag.
So did he do his patented, like, I got to go back. I may have to go back and watch the match now because I love their comeback. Or did you saying he screwed it up?
I think it got messed up.
Okay. Well, usually what he does is he body slams the people, but he can't.
There was no body slam involved. It wasn't the usual.
Okay.
It wasn't the usual outrunner. See, this was the outrunners are out there to look like the Mulkeys, and they're gonna get one done. And then I think Tony's gonna take all this goodwill from building them up on Collision, and they're gonna get murder death next week. And if they don't, it shouldn't be competitive unless we can find a way to build the drama that maybe the outrunners can beat. This is their night where they're just everything's working for them.
You will have one spot where the Shelton, I'll say, is about to do something to Truth, probably Turbo maybe, and as he's about to do it, the music hits.
Yes,
Murder Machine are out there. Roll up.
They're gonna tease that 2 count.
And roll up, and then you kick out, and then they get killed, like to death. Because I do believe that the actual end program here is still Murder Machine.
I do too, and I think you know what, or a 3-way,
or a 3-way in which the champions could lose their title without being pinned.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the Outrunners are celebrating. But they're just like a total afterthought, and they're like celebrating on the ramp, and MVP's out there. Yeah, they're totally. This is Mulkeys.
I thought they might go for the Macho Man handshake with the Hurt Syndicate or something to seal the deal that they're going to do a thing, but instead they're just looking at them like, look, they have belts. Yeah. That kind of.
And MVP. So the idea that you get from this is that MVP is scared of the Murder Machine, so he wanted to face the Outrunners instead because they're easier to beat. And the story of the match was exactly that anyways, so he's the smartest guy in the room. So, I don't know. At least they'll get booed, maybe, if they're facing the Outrunners.
You want the Hurt Syndicate getting booed because they're getting over as baby faces.
They are. Yeah, it's weird. Well, maybe they don't want that. So,
and well, I mean, if you put the Outrunners on Dynamite, the crowd's cold for them over there for some reason. I don't.
Well, because they haven't seen them.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. We got another Cope video package, and this was about Mox and Cope. He said, "This isn't your arena. These aren't your people. You got no guts, no spine. I'm going to take your guys out one by one." They showed the angle here, finally. Concerto for Pac on Collision, so he's murdered. Mox answered him. He says, "If you wanted me one-on-one, you could have just asked me. I could appreciate it. Someone in this company finally put their money where their mouth was. Someone is playing for keeps. Claudio's pacing around. He's pissed off, and he says, Cope, my hat's off to you, but this is not you hunting us. No. This is me hunting you. Keep that in mind." It was a good segment, actually, for Outrunners. Frickin', this was like award-winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Writers.
What did I say? Outrunners?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry, Truth and Turbo. You didn't deserve.
Now I need Claudio in the neon with the glasses.
He'd fit right in.
He would.
Yeah. Back from break, we got a Ricochet video package. He says, "I'm a winner. I've been proving it since the moment I got here. I've been whooping ass all over your favorite wrestlers. I want to be a champion in AEW." They recapped the angle last week with Nana. He says, "If you're that winner," Nana says, "if you're that winner, you always say you are. Just give the robe back to me." So it's basically a recap of that angle with some new music and shit. And then Swerve and Nana came out for a program, for a promo. Nana has a contract in his hand, it looked like. Crowd is super into Swerve. He says, "Whose house? That's exactly what I made this place 3 years ago when I stepped foot in these doors at Revolution. I told Tony Schiavone I was going to come in here and win AEW Championship Gold. We're wrapping up Black History Month, and it's fitting because I made Black History when I fulfilled my destiny to become AEW World Champion." This is a great promo. "Whose house?" he says again. "Night in, night out, I not only defended my championship, I showcased it to the world right up until the biggest showcase in all of professional wrestling, All In. I'm not a one-hit wonder." He says, "My man Prince Nana was right when he said the AEW World Championship has not been my focus. So make no mistake, I'm still the man around here. I'm still the best wrestler in the world. And to prove that, I need gold around my waist. I need to right some wrongs. I don't need some bald-headed, bispectacle wearing idiot walking around with something that doesn't belong to me. You say we're done and we're moving on. We're done when I say we're done." So out comes Ricochet, and he's got a mic. He's wearing Jimmy Rave's robe. on over that goofy ass suit that he wears, complete with his glasses and a backwards baseball cap. Just a complete tool. And it's perfect. And he says, Swerve, come on. Are you dumb? Are you stupid or are you dumb? So him and Sasha are sharing catchphrases.
Mercedes is gonna ask for $5, please.
Yeah. I think they may have actually stole it from somebody else, but
they did.
Yeah. He says, I told you I'm done with you. You had your chance. I won't. You feel me? Winners don't chase losers. And yeah, I understand. No one in this audience would understand this feeling. The Padres suck ass, and the Chargers deserted this town. I'm chasing gold. What you will never see again in me and AEW is a champion. I will not face you again. Not tonight. Not ever. Next time you'll see me, I'm going to have gold around my waist. And Nana says, Ricochet, listen. I have an offer you might want to consider. I had a talk with Tony Khan in the back earlier today. These fans deserve a rematch. All you have to do is accept it. You know what? Whoever wins that match will be the number one contender for the AEW World title. So what do you say, Ricochet? Ricochet, he changed his tune a little bit. He says, damn it, Nana, I'll give you some credit. That's good. So all you're saying is all I got to do is whip Swerve's ass again one more time and my ticket's punched? Can I get a, you're on. I accept. We aren't doing this tonight. I look around this audience. You all don't have enough money to pay my fee. We're going to do it in a real California city, in the city of angels at Revolution. Ricochet and Swerve. One more time, baby. Swerve just stares at
I like the false bravado here. I do. I really did. I was starting to get it. I wish he'd sell it a little bit more because it feels like he's trying to act, but I do like this a lot. Yeah, he did look a little bit like Downtown Bruno.
I love it.
Can I say aesthetically also, in terms of his get up, I like this Swerve with the very simple leather duster versus the big fur coat and the gold teeth and whatever. I really liked this kind of simple, stripped down version of Swerve Strickland.
It's really interesting because Hangman and Swerve have this like simmering thing that's never going to go away. And right now they're both kind of coming up as big time baby faces. And I think like in the back of most AEW fans' minds, you know that these guys are going to clash again. But in the meantime, they're doing other things and people are really into it. But at some point, they're going to clash and it's going to be huge. Again, if they play this right, that's a big, big match down the road.
It kind of feels like you build it for a year and then you get this, and then you go for the split audience.
Yeah. And
you don't turn either of them necessarily.
You don't have to. You don't have to. Unless they do, like unless the fans decide, hey, we don't like this one anymore for some reason. So you can do that.
Well, the problem is knowing these two, one of them will drop something in a promo that'll make them a heel, and then you'll just go, why'd you do that?
Or they'll like kill their child or something.
Yeah. Hey, remember when I broke into your house and stared at your child?
Okay. Well, there was attempted kidnapping, then there was arson. So I mean, where do you go from there?
You drank my blood.
Yeah.
They're gonna become vampires.
There you go. Maybe they're gonna
look at what the next step from what we do in the shadows, and
the next step in this is they're gonna be forced to team at some point, like for some reason.
God,
not the typical Stanford way.
No, like, it's gonna be the typical Stanford way for a while.
No, I think it's gonna be like a situation where
they did that though, didn't they? With when they were both in the three-way against Joe, and it became the begrudging respect thing, and then
but that was different.
That was different. The other.
Were they in the same team in the Oh no, that was Hangman was with the Elite and he wouldn't actually team with them and he ended up leaving the match, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Something like that is what I'm thinking of. John points out they committed aggravated burglary, aggravated assault, aggravated arson, aggravated stalking.
Aggravating Hawkins. Yeah. All of it.
Yeah. So anyways, so after this, Swerve just stared him down as Ricochet was leaving, and he's about to leave. And Nana says, and this is a key point in this story too, actually. He says, before you go, boss, I got to talk to you, boss. So you know what? I'm proud of you. I'm glad you're taking the steps to be thinking about the AEW World Championship again. That's what these fans want. That's what I want. But most importantly, I want you to go back to what these fans say you are, who you say you are, and who I say you are. And that's the most dangerous man in AEW. But Swerve, I done took a lot of bullets for you. Hangman Page, Sting, the Hurt Syndicate, Ricochet. And to see Ricochet walking around with my legacy, something that means so much to me in this business, I need you to fix my legacy. I need you to get my robe back, or I don't know if I can do this anymore. And he throws the mic down and walks off, and Swerve is a little taken aback at this one. So I start to think that maybe Nana might be going off with Ricochet.
I think that too.
Yeah. Which, if you told me that a month ago, I would have said bad idea. Now I'm not so sure.
I think it's time.
Yeah, I do.
Even though people love doing the Nana dance.
Well, they can do it with Ricochet.
I guess, but then no, but then it becomes a heel move that gets over, and you don't want to do that as a heel. Really, you don't want babyface pops as a heel. Then you become.
Well, isn't that kind of how Swerve ended up turning babyface in the first place?
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe they just ditched the song and he doesn't dance anymore. You could do that. Like Nana can be like, he doesn't have to be a comedy guy. Like we've seen Nana be vicious before.
Yeah.
Well, as an ROH historian, I'm very familiar with it. So speaking of Hangman, and actually I don't think it was coincidence that this segment aired right after the last one. Renee was backstage with it, and she's got an update. She wants a word with Hangman. And this time there was none of that like underlying tension between Hangman and Renee that we often see. He says, MJF is gone. He left. Max, when I find you, and I will, if I do not run you over, you're going to wish that I had. And then they cut to the back, and like Hangman's truck is parked in a completely different place than he left it. I don't know if you noticed that.
Left the keys in there. Hybrids are tough.
Somebody moved it for him?
Probably.
Okay. All right.
He was in a red zone, probably.
Not a big
Actually, you know what? When he got out of the truck, he was in a loading zone anyways, because he was at the bottom of the hill there. So yeah, you need
somebody went and moved his truck. Okay, fair enough.
They're getting deliveries during the show.
There you go. Yeah, Jeff Hawkins.
Thank you.
What is it?
Other talent that a continuity cop. Other talent was arriving late for their matches, so they had to.
Yeah, Harley was just pulling up. All right.
Harley's puppet truck. Truck full of puppets.
We haven't seen Mini Money in a while.
He introduced a new one on the Renee show.
Oh, yeah. It's on my list.
Spoiler. Sorry.
I'm never watching that. The Undisputed Kingdom versus FTR and Daniel Garcia.
Name is Edgar.
This match was again another basically a collision match, right? Like this is a match where, you know, like everything to set this up was on Collision, and they did tell us about it and everything, but because of that, again, like you say, we never see FTR on Dynamite. It doesn't seem, or Garcia for that matter.
This is a match that they kind of do poorly, and that's the babyface versus babyface, where they want to have tension as opposed to they're just trying to see who the best is, kind of a thing.
Well, out of all 6 of them, Kyle O'Reilly was a
jerk,
dick.
Yes,
you know, and the funny thing is he's in the conglomeration, right? And they always say that the only prerequisite to being in the conglomeration is that you're not a shithead. Exactly. Kyle O'Reilly has proven over and over and over again that he's an absolute shithead. Speaking of which, where's Mark Briscoe? I miss Mark Briscoe.
He's helping Private Party soothe their egos as they take like cold plunges after losing the tag team titles.
Should I ask where Private Party is? Yeah.
Creative's got nothing for him right now, Paul.
They'll
be wrestling Commander and Mortis next week.
I know this tweet that Larry Dallas. Oh, it'll come up soon. Okay. So where were we? This freaking 6-man. So this match was as another one where like the crowd's just being quiet, and then all of a sudden they just randomly started chanting, "This is awesome." Mm-hmm. And this was not awesome. It was fine. There were so many freaking choreographed spots in this match.
Yes.
Where it was like, you hit your move, I hit my move, blah, 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 you know, back and forth. Going into commercial.
It's the kind of wrestling I don't like.
everybody hit a move, and then they went to commercial with all 6 of them lying on the ground.
Yes.
They come back, they're wrestling, and then they do another spot in the ring where all 6 of them hit moves. And it was like at one point the best reaction they got was, okay, so they made this big point of like this whole match basically is about setting up Daniel Garcia and Adam Cole for a match. And they did 2 different times in this match where they did the dramatic tag, and the 2 of them were on opposite sides, and there was crickets. Like nobody cares about it because they're not watching Collision and they don't understand this angle. So at the very end, like they were right near the end of the match, they do it again and they do the tag and no reaction. But these guys, they're both good wrestlers and they're both pretty smart. So they did a hockey fight and the fans reacted to that. And then Dax put a sharpshooter on Strong. Kyle kept hitting him with kicks. Dax was no selling. Then Kyle put Dax in a guillotine. Then Cash Wheeler went up from behind and put a abdominal stretch on Kyle. And while all this was going on, and Daniel Garcia was just watching to figure out what move he was going to put on Cash, he gets rolled up by Adam Cole and pinned. So the second roll-up finish we got.
It just gives the most, I have made a horrible mistake.
He had this look on his face.
No, it wasn't even sad. It was just like,
I'm an idiot.
I'm a fucking moron.
Yeah.
I've had that look on my face numerous times, mostly after dates.
Yeah.
But yes, no, yeah, it's like number one, Garcia finally got a tan, which is nice.
Mm-hmm. Cole's pretty shredded, actually. I will point that out.
If FTR wouldn't wrestle indie style and would wrestle old school style, I'd be a lot better. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked this. Look, I found it impressive, the 6-person thing where, and God knows Cash is working his ass off, running all over the place, jumping on things, doing DDTs to people and things like that. But their whole point is that they're throwbacks. I want them to be throwbacks, to be honest with you. And it's kind of, they're kind of less enjoyable to me doing the indie style of ROH. So
this was a PWG match.
I'd say that, yeah.
Yeah, but not a particularly good one.
It wasn't bad. It
wasn't like bad.
The ending just kind of goes,
oh,
okay, how are you going to win the match doing this?
The ending was like,
it's one of those ones that somebody pitches in a room and it sounds great on paper. Oh, that's really creative. And then you watch it in thing and you go, nah, that's dumb.
Well, especially since we just saw the Outrunners get a roll up win, and now they're doing it here.
The story to do here is that Cole and Garcia are getting angrier and angrier at each other throughout the match, and then eventually they can't hold it anymore, and so they just start fighting, and it detracts from the match, and somehow Garcia loses. But it's one of those things where it's like, banana peel finish, and trust me, Daniel Garcia is losing this title.
I don't think so, because it's on Collision.
No, not on Collision. It's going to be set up for a rematch in some way at Revolution. He's losing this title. This title is being taken off of him. It will be deceased. It will no longer be Daniel Garcia's title. And then he will be on the bench for 6 more months trying to figure out what to do other than this dancing gimmick.
He won this title, I think, at All Out. Or something like that. Maybe it was Revolution. Or no, not Revolution. Whatever the Wrestle Dream, maybe. But he's had it for a while, and I think he's defended it once. It might be more, but he's never defended on Dynamite. I'm almost positive of that. So yeah, it was So we're getting Garcia and Cole for the TNT title on Collision. Tony Khan booked that match right after. After the match, they went to shake hands, and piece of shit
Tony Khan literally booked that match during the match.
Yes, but piece of shit Kyle kicked Garcia's hand while he was putting it out to shake his hand. So you almost came away from this wanting to see Kyle O'Reilly and Daniel Garcia.
Yes.
But yeah. Maybe that is the match, no. I don't know. But if it is like Cole, I think Tony really, really likes Adam Cole, and Cole's gotten himself in pretty good shape. So maybe he's going to be the TNT champ, and defending the title every week on Collision.
Come out and say boom every week.
So backstage, Claudio, oh God, we're going to get big boom AJ, aren't we? Backstage, Claudio is wandering around. And Cope attacked him, as we kind of figured he was going to. They brawled into the arena. I wrote down, where's security or the rest of the Death Riders? And immediately Wheeler attacked Cope from behind. So, hey, there you go. Claudio tossed him in the ring steps. Marina randomly showed up. She was standing on the barricade. Claudio went and got a chair, starts beating on Cope with the chair. Yuta went and got another chair, and Claudio got it. He's about to do the concerto on Cope, and some music hits, I wrote, and out comes Jay White. So I didn't even recognize his music.
Mm-hmm.
And while the music was playing, Cope just magically recovered. He was lying dead on the ground right before the music, and that gave him the Popeye energy to get up. And I starts beating on
fighting spirit, Paul.
Yeah. So he beats on both guys with the chairs, speared Claudio out of his boots. Marina jumped on Cope's back with a rear naked choke. Wheeler went to kick Cope, but Cope ducked and he laid out Marina with a Wasaku kick. And the fans start chanting, "You fucked up." Then Jay White hits Wheeler with a Blade Runner. Cope starts beating on Claudio with the chair. Gave Claudio concerto. When they did this, they shot it badly because you saw. Yeah.
Okay, good. That was the note I had right in front of me. They shot this the worst angle possible, so you see he doesn't even touch his head.
Unlike the second one, but we'll get to that. So Mox showed up here randomly, and White was holding him off with a chair. Then he took Yuta away, or not quite, because then Jay White got his hands on Yuta, and then in the ring, Cope, I guess Marina was still out from the Wasaku knee, and Cope put a chair under her, and he was about to hit her with a concerto. I was expecting Beth Phoenix, but then actually it was Willow, and this made perfect sense because we've seen Willow and Marina. She's literally the only AEW woman that Marina's interacted with since this angle started. So Willow shows up. She walks to the ring casually, grabs a chair, and gave Marina a concerto. Now this one,
Sub-Zero, now Plain Zero.
Yeah, this concerto looked good. I'm sure she didn't hit her, but you couldn't tell.
I'm not.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I'm not that sure. I saw that. I went, oh.
Yeah. Well, maybe somebody said, "Oh, that last one looked good. Make this one snug."
Here, John keeps asking me for this terrible joke I told on Twitter. So it's like, so he goes, "What's up with the McGuff?" I go, "She became an egg McMuffin," but more like became a waffle on that chair shot.
Oh, John says she hit her. So there you go.
So went from egg McMuffin to a waffle.
Scrambled eggs.
Woo,
So she's out and Claudio's out, and it's just Wheeler and Mox now. So the thing is with this angle, like I said, like this would be great if it was like
Jay White's the most interesting part of it still.
Yes, yeah. And the other thing is the whole angle of taking out his guys one by one would make a hell of a lot more sense if they'd actually been the reason that Cope lost to Mox. But Cope basically lost a fair fight and got choked out relatively cleanly in the tag match at the Brisbane Street Fight, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's almost like they should have done that angle, and then everything would make more sense. But no, Mox just beat him clean, and then Cope decided, "Oh, I'm going to take out all your guys now, and then when I get you one-on-one, this time I'll beat you." Okay, whatever. So they go to break, they come back, and it's Harley Cameron versus Deonna Purrazzo. And during the ring entrances, I love this because AEW never does this. They're talking about the angle that happened before the break.
Yes, it actually had some emotional resonance on the rest of the show.
Yes, and then they followed up again later. So, good for them. They're learning. It's smart. They're basically telling you what's important. And this stuff's all going on. It's good and everything, but hey, in case you tuned in late, this is what happened earlier. Hey, this is what's happening later. You might want to stick around. By the way, in case you missed it, this is what happened. So yeah, I like that stuff. And it's not a kind of thing you're going to skip over because it's happening during a part of the thing when, maybe you're, paying half attention because they're doing a ring entrance or something. But anyways, they do this match, Harley Cameron, Deonna Purrazzo. Taya was watching from backstage, they do. And it's the funny thing is I don't think that they expected us to remember that Harley Cameron already beat Taya, but it seemed like that was the next step in this. But now I want to say something, because remember I looked up the Outrunners earlier.
Yes.
I was thinking, when's the last time Deonna was on
Purrazzo
Dynamite?
was on. Yeah, it was to lose to Tony Storm, wasn't it?
Nope. It was April of last year, so almost a year ago. And you know who she wrestled? Take a guess. There's not too many women in.
I remember it was somebody that you wouldn't think of normally. That was rare. I'm gonna go Serena Deeb.
Nope. No. Mariah May.
Mariah May. Okay. Oh yeah, now I remember that match.
So
okay.
who do you think won that match?
Mariah May did, didn't she?
Nope.
What? Oh God.
Deonna
Purrazzo.
Purrazzo.
This was when Mariah was still before the
April,
turn. So, yes.
April of last year was the last time Deonna was on Dynamite, and she beat Mariah May. The announcers never mentioned this once. Now, this would help Harley's story. If this might have been the last time that Mariah May lost before she lost to Tony. So really, she's beaten somebody that beat Mariah. This puts her up the pecking order, right? So, like, I don't know. So when I pointed this out on X, the esteemed Larry Dallas, you know who he is, right? From AAA. Yeah. He says, here on this competitive weekly program, we just stop randomly using people for a year after they win to acknowledge it is showing incompetence, or in Deonna's accountant's case, asking for an audit for the last 52 weeks of checks. Larry Dallas, I like him.
Deonna now part of the University of New Hampshire Southern New Hampshire ad campaign.
Oh yeah.
She went to online school and got her degree or something like that.
Well, she didn't win here.
No, she did not.
This was not quite like the Outrunners match. I mean, Harley was presented as slightly more credible, but the match was not much better.
It was the wrong style of match for Deonna Purrazzo, and I like Deonna.
I like Harley.
She's been through some things. I really like Harley too.
Yeah.
Quick escapes and ducking and things like that. Not Deonna's forte these days. Not gonna go personal, but this was not. This just might be ring rust of not getting in there over and over and over again and getting your reps.
Could be because she doesn't even wrestle on Collision.
No, she does angles with Taya, and then Taya goes out and wrestles on Collision. This has been a wasted draft pick to me. You remember with all the fanfare when they signed her away after she finally escaped her NXT contract? It went too long too. I mean, this is not the match you should have brought back Harley for. You should have brought her back for just a simple squash match to get her back on the winning track, as opposed to a 50-50 struggle.
Here's where you bring in Viva Van. Remember when Viva Van announced she was all elite?
Who are the two twins?
The Robin Renegade,
yeah. One of the Renegade twins would be fine to lose here.
Yeah, but no, it was Deonna, and
Diamante would have been fine to lose here. To be honest with you, I like Diamante.
I like Diamante a lot. So yeah, Deonna took most of the match. Then Harley got her comeback. At one point, Deonna took her head off with a kick, hit a power bomb, got a 2 count. Then she transitioned right into her what's she called, the Venus de Milo, the armbar. Yeah. And then Harley rolled her up. And again, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna do a third roll up here.
I thought it was gonna be I thought that was gonna be the finish.
Yeah, and then there was a kick out, and then Harley just hit something. I don't even know what you call it.
It's a reverse crossroads. And to me, it looked like Deonna took it horribly because she puts the arm behind the back and does the reverse crossroads, and you hear this thud.
Oh.
And I went, oh God, she hit herself flush on it, didn't she?
Oh, it looked.
I think Harley had. I think they potatoed each other a couple of times during this match because Harley had hit it and it looked or sounded like on one of those kicks that Deonna got a receipt, and it was and then that finisher, you just hear the funk. I went, oh no.
Finisher, if she's gonna do it, it needs a name. I mean, you might as well just call it Feel the Wrath.
I think it's called Feel the Wrath.
Okay, well, Excalibur didn't tell us that.
Or it's called The Wrath, one of the two.
Or The Wrath, yeah. Harley did scream out Feel the Wrath, but that was earlier. Yes. And the crowd popped when she did it. So that catchphrase is over.
Yes.
Yeah. So this match was
went way too long and should not have probably been on Dynamite. It should have probably been on Collision. I don't know.
But they need a women's match on Dynamite. So
yes.
Yeah. So could add.
How about Momo Watanabe does a match on Dynamite, so she's fighting for the TBS title.
But her against Robin Renegade. Yeah. Video package for Orange Cassidy and Takeshita. It was voiced over by a Kenny Omega promo. And the whole point of this, again, as we said last week, the winner of the main event tonight gets to defend their title against Omega at Revolution. So we come back from break and they show Marina and Claudio being hauled off in an ambulance, and Cope, White, and Willow are watching it with their backs to the camera, and they wave as the ambulance takes off. That was kind of cool. And I think Cope went over to him and he's like, the two left. So yeah, now it's just poor Mox and poor Wheeler. He's going to get so murdered. It's going to be good. And yeah, and I assume when they get to Cope and Mox, it's just going to be one-on-one at the pay-per-view. So could be interesting. Unless he brings in, oh, no, I'm not even going to will it into existence. And you know who we haven't seen in a little while?
Who?
Christian.
Oh, we saw him last week in a six-man.
Yeah, okay. You know what we haven't seen is that contract.
Yes.
That contract is coming into play at Revolution, I think, because they haven't been hammering it home. So that's usually the game plan with these Money in the Bank things. And that leads to Orange Cassidy and Konosuke Takeshita for the international title. Essentially, they're pushing this as the current international champion against the greatest international champion of all time, two-time champion Orange Cassidy. They pointed out that his singles record is 98-27-2, which I assume when he gets to 100 wins, he's going to be the first one. Like I know that there's guys with 100 wins before, but that's combined between six-man and tags. So when he gets to 100 singles win, they should probably make a big deal about it. And I imagine it'll happen soon. And I wrote down here, I doubt it'll be tonight. And it turns out I was correct. Callis was on commentary. He again points out we're going to find out who the greatest international champion of all time is.
It's still Orange Cassidy.
Probably. Might even, yeah, it's definitely Orange Cassidy. Takeshita ripped up Orange Cassidy's sunglasses for the belt. He pulls out another pair from his pocket. So apparently he knew that his glasses were going to get ripped up, or he was going to wrestle a match with sunglasses in his pockets.
He doesn't care, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. So Takeshita took the second pair, gave to Don. Don takes off his glasses, puts
Don selling this was the best.
You've never seen a guy so happy. Like he's just like, and these sunglasses are like what, $6 sunglasses that you picked up at the dollar store?
Yes.
Something. Yeah. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
He obviously got a case of them.
I would think, yeah. And then they start wrestling finally. They get the comedy out of the way. And this was just a sprint, and it was fun, and it was exactly what you'd think. We got all kinds of reversals, and everybody hit all their moves. And like there was a bit of a story here with Orange Cassidy trying to hit his moves, but he was just, Takeshita was just too big. And Callis kept pointing this out, like it's just physics. He's too big, he's too strong, he's too fast, he's too powerful.
Yep.
And yeah, and eventually what happened was they got out to the outside, and Orange Cassidy is he clears off the table, the announce table, and he's trying to goad Takeshita into coming and attacking him. And Takeshita's nailing him with elbows, and Orange Cassidy's just, one more, sir, give me another. And then he put his hands in his pocket and to get more. And then Takeshita, went to give him something. Orange Cassidy reverses, give him a beach break on the table. They slid off the table. It looked like a piece of the table hit him and sliced his back open, I think. Maybe Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
He took the worst of it. As they're doing this, Bryce Rensburg randomly decides he's going to start counting. And like you never see countouts in AEW. And he gets to 9, and these guys are still dead. I don't know how they both got in the ring before he hit 10, but they did, and it was a pretty good near fall, or near countout. But they got back in the ring, and then they just sprinted to the end. Orange punch on Takeshita, tope into a DDT by Orange Cassidy on the floor, rolled him back in the ring. He took his glasses from Callis, and again, Callis selling him losing the glasses was even better than when he got them. And I put on his glasses, went to the top, jumped off. Takeshita just drilled him with an elbow in midair. He went for a brain buster, but Orange Cassidy reversed it into a beach break. Takeshita hit something, I wrote. Orange Cassidy reversed that for 2. Went for his orange punch. I missed it. Takeshita hit the Raging Fire for the win. It's a great match.
Yeah,
Just classic Takeshita match, classic Orange Cassidy match. I really enjoyed it.
Great match, but man, you still think about, man, Orange Cassidy was once the most popular person in this promotion, and they probably should put the rocket on him, and they didn't. And you always hit that ceiling where it's like,
well, he should have beat Danielson, right?
Anybody, he should have won the world title at some point.
Yeah, and now it'd be
now you can't.
Yeah.
No.
He could win. He could have won this. He could win the TNT.
When he had the international title that first time with the backpack, where he was just white hot every time and defending it week after week after week, he should have said, "I want to go for the world title." And then,
yeah. Though I think the whole idea back then wasn't it? He defended against Mox. Mox beat him, and then he beat Mox back for it or something. Didn't they do that?
Yeah, but I think Ray Phoenix was in there somewhere injured.
I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right. They could team him up with Mark Briscoe. They'd be a good tag team.
Yeah, but my point was he was a marketable star that didn't have any WWE or New Japan on him, and then you could have,
I think they want to do that now with Darby, and that's their plan. But
it's not the worst choice in the world. You just gotta keep him healthy.
Well, and hopefully survives Everest.
That's true.
Oh man, we're over time. Okay.
Yes.
So we're gonna hear from Omega Saturday on Collision. Also, FTR versus Cole and Strong. They announced during the closing credits, and Garcia it's FTR versus Kyle and Strong, and Garcia versus Cole for the TNT Championship on Collision. And just before they shut the show off, Callis put his sunglasses on Takeshita, and Takeshita posed.
And did the bang.
Yeah, and I should point out, did you notice what time the show ended? It was like
9:03 or 7:03 here.
No, it was right on.
Was it on time?
It was exactly on time.
Okay.
There was zero overrun. Yeah, I was shocked. So that was that. That was Dynamite.
I was on a bit of a delay, so.
Oh, okay. I just paused it and I saw 2 hours and 0 seconds. It was like literally exactly time. All right, Jeff.
Follow me on at Crap Game 13. I do a show called Shake Them Ropes on Voices of Wrestling this week. Elimination Chamber. Don't know if it's going to be a preview or a review. I think it's going to be fun, especially with guys like Logan Paul and John Cena in there. It's very interesting to me. And then Vader Club, haven't picked it yet, but it's my week. It's going to be All Japan Tag Wrestling, I think, of some kind. It's either going to be, Hanson and Gordy, the British Bulldogs, or the Fantastics are going to be involved. One of those 3 teams. So we'll see.
All right. And for me, I did not do my match of the week thing this week because I was on holiday. So next week I'm going to do my matches of the 2 weeks, and it'll be the top 20. So, and then other than that, we're going to keep a running tally of our super chats, and I'm going to just put this up for occasion. $5 running super chat. When we hit 25, the YouTube chat's going to get to choose what classic episode of AEW Dynamite that we review. So we'll keep that in mind for future shows. So for Paul Fontaine, I've been Jeff Hawkins, and this has what?
For Paul Fontaine, I've been Jeff Hawkins.
Oh my God!
Every time intros and outros are not your thing.
No. For Jeff Hawkins, I'm Paul Fontaine. This has been the Dynamite Show. Later.